The problem is what the United States is asking of Iran, which is to enrich zero uranium, which they know that Iran is not going to do, that Iran wants nuclear power. And so Iran is not going to, Iran's just not going to do what the United States is demanding, and the U.S. knows this. The question is, who's around Donald Trump who's getting him to demand these things from Iran that we know Iran is not going to do? And so it's just a losing bargaining chip when you're asking someone to, let's say, give up their firstborn child. They're not going to do it. You know they're not going to do it. And you say, give up your firstborn child or else we're going to war. Well, then I guess you're going to war. And that's kind of what's happening right now with Iran. Rather than calming things down, things are actually ramping up. Tucker Carlson tweeted this out saying that Mark Levin, do you know who Mark Levin is? So he is a commentator who I believe has a show on Fox News. But Mark Levin, was he also at one point with Ben Shapiro and Friends? I think he might have been, or he might still be, or he might have been at one point. But this is what Tucker had to say about Mark Levin. He says, Mark Levin was at the White House today lobbying for war with Iran. To be clear, Levin has no plans to fight in this or any other war. He's demanding that American troops do it. We need to stop Iran from building nuclear weapons. He and like-minded ideologues in Washington are now arguing, right? That's what they keep saying. They've been saying this forever and ever. And this is what Tucker's saying, that they're arguing, we have to stop Iran from making a nuclear weapon. We've been hearing this forever. And what do they say? They say they're just weeks away, Tucker says. If this sounds familiar, it's because the same people have been making the same claim since at least the 1990s. It's a lie. In fact, there is zero credible intelligence that suggests Iran is anywhere near building a bomb or has plans to. None. Anyone who claims otherwise is ignorant or dishonest. If the U.S. government knew Iran was weeks from possessing a nuclear weapon, we'd be at war already. Iran also knows it's unwise to give up its weapons program entirely. Muammar Gaddafi tried that and wound up sodomized with a bayonet. As soon as Gaddafi disarmed, NATO killed him. Iran's leaders saw that happen. They learned the obvious lesson. So why is Mark Levin once again hyperventilating about weapons of mass destruction? To distract you from the real goal, which is regime change. Young Americans heading back to the Middle East to topple yet another government. Virtually no one will say this out loud. America's record of overthrowing foreign leaders is so embarrassingly counterproductive that regime change has become a synonym for disaster. Officially, no one supports it. So instead of telling the truth about their motives, they manufacture hysteria. Quote, a country like Iran can never have the bomb. They'll nuke Los Angeles. We have to act now. They don't really mean this, and you can tell they don't by what they omit. At least two of Iran's neighbors, both Islamic nations, already have nuclear weapons. That fact should scare the hell out of Mark Levin, yet for some reason he never mentions it. How come? Because it's not the weapons he hates, it's the ideology of the Iranian government, which is why he's lobbying to overthrow it. It goes without saying that there are very few Trump voters who'd support a regime change war in Iran. Donald Trump has argued loudly against reckless lunacy like this. Trump ran for president as a peace candidate. That's what made him different from conventional Republicans. It's why he won. A war with Iran would amount to a profound betrayal of his supporters. It would end his presidency. That may explain why so many of Trump's enemies are advocating for it. And then there's the question of war itself. Iran might not have nukes, but it has a fearsome arsenal of ballistic missiles, many of which are aimed at U.S. military installations in the Gulf, as well as at our allies and at critical energy infrastructure. The first week of war with Iran could easily kill thousands of Americans. It could also collapse our economy as surging oil prices trigger unmanageable inflation. Consider the effects of $30 gasoline. But the second week of war could be even worse. Iran isn't Iraq or Libya or even North Korea. While it's often described as a rogue state, Iran has powerful allies. It's now part of a global bloc called BRICS, which represents the majority of the world's landmass, population, economy, and military power. Iran has extensive military ties with Russia. It sells the overwhelming majority of its oil exports to China. Iran isn't alone. An attack on Iran could very easily become a world war. We'd lose. None of these are far-fetched predictions. Most of them comport with the Pentagon's own estimates. Many Americans would die during a war with Iran. People like Mark Levin don't seem to care about this. It's not relevant to them. Instead, they insist that Iran give up all uranium enrichment regardless of its purpose. They know perfectly well that Iran will never accept that demand. They'll fight first, and of course, that's the whole point of pushing for it, to box the Trump administration into a regime change war in Iran. The one thing that people like Mark Levin don't want is a peaceful solution to the problem of Iran, despite the obvious benefits to the United States. They denounce anyone who advocates for a deal as a traitor and a bigot. They tell us with a straight face that Long Island native Steve Witkoff is a secret tool of Islamic monarchies. They'll say or do whatever it takes. They have no limits. These are scary people. Pray that Donald Trump ignores them.
آنچه در مورد ما میگویند